And boss will walk in like, where's the Sonos? Turn on the music. I'm like, this is my workout.
Mom guilt only happens if I don't have support.
Do you feel like women, or have you experienced this, where we tend to lose a little bit more of our identity because we're doing more of the sacrificing for the man or the husband in the relationship?
Like whenever he's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, you're lucky you get to see this part of me.
What is the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? Oh, I'm fucking tired.
Hey guys, it's me again, your host Dominique, and my girl Naycha. How you doing, girl?
I'm tired, but I'm here.
Oh my gosh, me too. Today we have an incredible guest. She's my friend, a wife, a mom. She's family and marriage therapist, and she recently has a new podcast called The Relationship Chronicles. Nina Westbrook. We are so excited to have you on. We can't wait to get into the details of how we maintain our identity as women in our relationships. Okay, so Nina, how are you? How's it been? Thanks for coming.
Of course. I mean, I'm really excited to be here and to meet you, Naycha. Yeah, I'm tired. You know, I woke up at 5:30 today. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this new thing where I wake up at 5:30 to work out, because if I don't, then that's the first thing I cut out of my day. And my days are so ridiculously chaotic, and I never know what's going to happen. And so I kind of look forward to canceling my workouts, really. So at 5:30.
I feel you.
At 5:30, which I work out with Alexis, one of the lovely Just Train trainers. And nothing is happening at 5:30. I'm in my bed. So no excuses. I got to get up and get it in. So I feel like, I don't know, I get a little boost of energy and then I crash. Then I'm tired.
By like 12.
Yeah. Plus, done. I had to go to Russell's game last night. So
I know. I
was out late, up early. I don't know how I'm going to make it through the season.
Yeah, I watched that game. That was intense. But
Let's not talk
you guys have that in common, the 5:30 wake up. I am not training at 5:30. There's a guarantee. There's no way that's happening. I normally train around like 9 or 10.
Which is preferred.
Yes.
This is also
crazy.
This is preferred for me as well.
How long have you been doing the 5:30?
I'm actually proud of myself because it's been a few months now.
Oh, good.
So I'm sticking to it.
It's a habit.
It's a habit at this point. And I feel so guilty when I miss my workouts now. So it's good.
Oh, that's good.
I know. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. I thought everybody wakes up early to work out.
No.
Mm-mm.
No?
It's
only a select few that are crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
No,
yeah, but people give
out.
me like a hard time about it. So
that's dedication, girl.
To hear that you, the wife of Just Train boss.
No. I don't get trained by him. I don't work out at the same time as him.
I wouldn't either. From what I've gathered, I would not either. I don't, all of those videos, Russell works out with him, all those videos online of them screaming and yelling and cursing each other out. Like, I don't understand why that gets them going, but I need like a peaceful, relaxing moment.
Oh, Alexis will tell you, in our workouts, there's no music. It's silence. And boss will walk in like, where's the Sonos? Turn on the music. I'm like, this is my workout. Mm-hmm. I need peace and quiet.
So you don't work out with music?
Oh, no, rarely.
That is so funny. I don't either. And Alexis,
really?
I think she mentioned that one time. She's like, you and Dom, you guys are like, you want peace during your workout. And I'm like, I absolutely do. I don't want to hear anything. And plus, I don't want to wake the kids up.
I get it, though. It's 5:30 in the morning. Even when I'm driving to work, I'm listening to nothing, because what am I listening to at 5:30
still waking
in
up.
the morning? I'm still defrosting.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. In general, for me, whether it's 5:30 in the morning or like I said, 9, 10, I just feel like that moment just to have to myself and my own thoughts while I'm releasing the endorphins and all that good stuff, I need peace.
Right. Like, all jokes aside, this is why I get up in the morning, right? I know that I'm busy taking care of these kids, running around, running my businesses. If I don't prioritize working out in the morning, then it might not get done. And I really value my time to kind of just be to myself and then get that extra little boost of dopamine and happiness.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel accomplished. Like I've already done so much in the day before I really get going. So
let's talk about that then. So let's take it back to early Nina, right? Basketball star, UCLA, where you met your now husband, right? Let's talk about who you were then and how your identity has kind of just shifted through, he got drafted, you guys moved. I know we've talked about you just having to find your new identity and what your new life is going to look like. So tell me about that.
Wow. You don't ever want me to stop talking.
I don't.
Okay. I'm going to try to do a very quick and short version. A lot of this you don't know. Naycha, I know you don't know for sure, but went to college, met Russell, sparks fly. He leaves, goes to the NBA. I stay in college, finish school, go to a graduate program, get my master's. Then I had to get my certification as a licensed marriage and family therapist. I think that at the time I was living in LA and also I moved to Oklahoma, which is where Russell was playing at the time. And we were kind of like, what is the saying? Big fish in a small pond.
Yes. That's it.
Sorry, some things I don't know.
Brain.
Mom brain, exactly. So it was a little tricky trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do? I feel like as a therapist, it's important for me to maintain a certain level of, I don't know, I have to keep a good, healthy therapeutic relationship with my clients. And it's hard to do that when Russell is like ripping and running around town, dunking on people's heads and like acting crazy. Everyone kind of quickly figures out that our relation, and then it turns into something else. So I had to kind of pivot a few times and figure out the best situation for me. I started my entrepreneurial journey there. I opened a boutique called The Little Arc, which was fun and a huge learning process for me. At the end of the day, I think that there were lots of trials and errors, ups and downs, just trying to figure out who I was as a professional, then start adding in our kids. My son was born. I was going to work as a therapist, and I would be so sad that I would be leaving him at home with a sitter to go to work, and I would be going all day. It felt like all day, but it kind of was. I would go to work in the morning. What time, when does school start? 7:30? We get out at 3, go home for a few hours, and then I'm going to Russell's game at 7, leaving the house around 6:30. So it just didn't feel like it was aligning, like it wasn't a good fit for me. So I had to get creative.
Right.
I think prior to that point, I had done so much to try to fit into all of the things my husband had going on at the time. Like, it was a lot of traveling, a lot of just stuff that's not really my jam. I like to be at home. I like to watch Housewives. I like to sleep. And I like to eat. So those are the things that I was interested in. My husband's lifestyle took me outside of that. We add kids to the mix. I'm still outside of that because I'm like, at the time, I'm like, I know I need to do something that I enjoy. I'm trying to get my little career going. But I also feel sad because I'm leaving my kid at home. Then I stuck that out, continued along that path until my girls came. And I'm like, I can't leave 3 kids at home.
Right.
Right? So let me try something else. I want to go into start a business and figure out how I can create my own schedule and work hours that are not going to interfere with my time with the kids or bring them to work even. I was trying to figure it out. And then we moved, and then there's another pivot, another change. That's when I got the idea to start my digital wellness community. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be moving all over the place, I need to do something that I can put online. That way I'm not having to open up and close up shop. But I want to be in the mental health field, and I want to have a positive impact on people and share, stories and share information that could be so helpful in different circumstances. And there was a lot of growth, ups and downs along the way. And now we're here present day. And I feel like it's kind of, there's so much more to the story. But for now, I'm doing okay.
Well, I love your solution-oriented idea, right? Because I was also wondering how you came to the idea of creating a digital platform, which I think is brilliant and genius, and it helps me, and I'm sure it helps countless other women and people in general out there. But tell me, during this transition that you're going through, right? Russ is having his grand success in the NBA, dunking on people, like you said, acting out. But how was he in support of you and your journey?
I think that's a really, really good question. In the beginning, I think he was missing a lot, not quite understanding what support looked like to me. I think that in a lot of ways, he was doing his best, putting forth, all of his effort to try to make sure that he was supporting me in my dreams, but it wasn't quite landing with me, and I wasn't seeing it as support. So what we had to do, which once I realized that we were disconnecting there, we had to have a conversation about what support looked like to me. Like, what do I need from him in order for me to feel like I'm being supported? And so we had to have those conversations. And not only did we have the conversations, but he had to be willing to put forth the effort to make the changes necessary to support me. Because at the end of the day, that was the goal for him, is to support me. So it just, like I said, lots of ups and downs, but having open conversations and being receptive is always gonna be the best precursor to change, right? We have to be willing to listen and then be willing to put forth the action towards making the situation better.
A good question that I'm wondering is, you said what support looks like to you. Is there something that you see that's a common trend in relationships where there's a disconnect of what the man thinks support is and what the woman thinks support is? Because I know from personal experience, I may come and say, hey, I need help or support in this way. And their immediate response, boss's immediate response, is something like, well, I don't understand. There's the nanny, there's this, and sometimes we're looking for something else, but oftentimes women don't really know how to convey that to their husbands. What would you say support in general for women more so looks like? Or what's the disconnect?
I mean, the disconnect is, if you ask anyone who's in a relationship or has been married, trying to get on the same page with your spouse there's always going to be disconnect. You're two different people. You have two different backgrounds and upbringings. What you've learned from your background is totally different than what boss has learned. What are we calling him?
Boss.
You want to call him boss? Okay. What boss has learned in his background And so what your ideas are going to be completely different than him. The way you form your thoughts is going to be completely different than the way he forms his thoughts. So what successful communication or support looks like in a relationship is very objective.
Right.
Or subjective. And it's going to look different for everybody. And I think that having self-awareness as individuals is what is extremely important, because a lot of the times when we aren't feeling supported by our partner, we have to be able to communicate why we're not feeling supported and what we actually need in order to feel supported, in order to get the support. We can't just expect or assume our partners know what we're thinking or what we're feeling. And I think people fall into that trap a lot, in thinking that their partner, doesn't matter how long you're together, like none of us can read minds. Well, some people read minds, right? Or they say they do, but
I don't think I believe in that. I'm like, if you can read what's going on up in here, listen.
You would not be here right now. No, I think that we have to just communicate and be self-aware and know what we need, and ask for it. But your support looks different than mine.
Right.
No, that makes 1,000% sense. I feel like I've been in a relationship. I'm pretty young. I got into a relationship.
We're all pretty young.
At the end.
First of all.
So you're right. You are 1,000% correct. I'm the baby of the group, though, I should say that. So I got into a relationship when I was in high school, the end of my high school. It's like the end of senior year. And we're still kicking it. We're still trying to figure it out. And we're here. It's now like year 9, almost 10. So for me, what I realized, I was a college athlete as well. I ran track. And then shortly after that, got out of college, quickly started teaching. And I found myself kind of falling in that losing my identity in a man. And not anything taken towards, he didn't do that. It was me. But in a sense of like, I know everyone's different, but like, what are some like genuine, like not genuine, I'm sorry. What are some general, like, is there any like general boundaries that you would say a woman going into a new relationship would set so that she doesn't like lose herself in the sense of like getting lost in the sauce?
Right. I love that question.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly, anyone who gets to start fresh, I see that as such a benefit, because you get to take everything that you've learned and all the information you've gathered along the way, all of your experiences that, you know, you learned what you like and what you don't like into this new relationship, which means that you have an opportunity to set and manage expectations from the very beginning. Sometimes, I mean, I feel like it's I don't relate to this. A lot of times people are very nervous to state their intentions or show their full selves to people when they first meet. They're very natural feelings, right? Yep. We all want to be loved and accepted for who we are. And we want to connect with people. But at the end of the day, if you don't present people with who you truly are, you're not giving them the opportunity to actually love you and to know you fully, right? So in any relationship, being vulnerable up front and being able to express and share how you feel, ask the right questions, which is like why I love my game.
I'm about to buy it, by the way. I didn't even know you had a game. They said it yesterday. I was like, she got a game?
Yeah, it's the whole point is to think about these things and the conversations that, and spark conversations that you wouldn't normally have, right? Sometimes you're a little afraid to jump into the nitty gritty of things when you're first starting out. But in terms of maintaining your own identity in a relationship, I think that, first of all, this is another reason why this is such a great question, is you have to know who you are, right? You want to go into a relationship feeling whole, not seeking to feel completed. I think a lot of people make that mistake.
You hit a nail on the head. I think so too.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that when you go into a relationship feeling whole and both people are feeling whole, you rely less on the other person for your happiness. We're each responsible for our own happiness. And I think that a lot of people feel like when someone else is doing what we want them to do and saying what we want them to say and living how we want them to live, that's what's going to make us happy. No. What's going to make you happy is living the way you want to live, saying the things that you want to say, and doing the things that you want to do. That's what's going to make you happy in a relationship. And if you're happy in a relationship and you have a partner who's doing the exact same thing and they're happy in the relationship, then you guys can work happily together to work on the things that you're compromising within the relationship. Because there's a sacrifice that happens in a relationship, but the sacrifice is gotta be balanced. It can't be to the detriment of one person or whatever the case may be. And if it is, it's a sacrifice that is going to happen over a small period of time, or we are on the same page and I understand you have a huge project that you're working on at work, so you need me to pick up the slack here at home with the kids. Got it. Communicating these things, and even in relationships where you're expected to take on so much, and your partner can go off and do other things or whatever the case may be, because it could flip flop in our home. Sometimes I'm more busy, and Russell in the off season, he's like doing all the drop offs and all the pickups, and I'm so thrilled because I don't thrive in that circumstance. I like to be home. It's just acknowledging your partner and telling them how much you appreciate them and you see them. I see you. This is my love language, is you're supporting me so that I can do the things that I need to do. When you are in a position where you're taking up a lot of the space in the relationship. So I think that's a really, really big thing that a lot of people misunderstand.
I agree. I feel like I was one. I'm not gonna lie. I got into a relationship and I came from like a lot of people, like a broken-ish home, so I didn't really know what a relationship was supposed to look like. So I just went in just deep. Just went in thinking that it's supposed to look, or like you're supposed to like be like this one. But in all reality, you're supposed to be one, they're supposed to be one, and you come together as one.
I think that's interesting to hear too, because my mom, of what you see growing up, because my parents have been together since high school. And so I almost have like I won't say fairy tale, but it feels sometimes like a fantasy of like what I saw growing up and not necessarily knowing all of their, I'm sure, struggles, etc. But sometimes I have to manage my expectations too in my marriage of what our relationship is supposed to look like, you know? But I also was thinking, like, when you said balanced sacrifice, do you feel like women, or have you experienced this, where we tend to lose a little bit more of our identity because we're doing more of the sacrificing for the man or the husband in the relationship? Okay, so I can't stand using plastic water bottles. Path is the first refillable and 100% recyclable bottled water packaged in a sleek and sturdy aluminum container, which I love. They make it easy for our family to feel good about making a positive impact on the environment, including our kids. Also, their bottles are fully customizable. There's this one particular limited edition Path water bottle featuring the Ninja Turtle characters. My boys absolutely love it. They actually fight over who gets to have it, and it's just a great way to teach them and the next generation the importance of reuse. And you can create your own custom Path water bottle for your next event. I was actually just thinking about it. I wish for all of our 3 gender reveals that we were able to have a team girl or team boy water bottle for the party. Of course, it would have been all team boys. But so visit drinkpathwater.com to check out the coolest designs and to create your own today.
Well, that's a good question. I think there are 2 parts. In any given relationship, there's someone who we like to call the breadwinner. So whatever their work is typically takes precedence over whatever the other person is doing. That's just a natural survival technique or tactic that we fall into. But at the same time, what you're saying is very true. Also, as women, we're nurturers. We want to take care of everybody. It's almost, we want to be with our kids. We want to be at the PTA meeting. Some of us, I don't, but some women do. And I think that because of those natural nurturing instincts and the ability to wear so many hats, we want to take care of everything. We want to put everyone, the whole family on our shoulders, and we tend to shy away from our own self-care. We kind of sacrifice ourselves and our happiness for our loved ones. So that is definitely something that I see happening often. And it happens so often that many people have experienced this. I've experienced this. Early on in my relationship, I think that I did so many things that I didn't want to do. And it made me unhappy. And it wasn't because this was what was required of me. No one was making me do anything that I didn't want to do. It came more from feeling pressure or feeling like a need, or
like you had to,
kind of like I had to, but more of just wanting to be like Superwoman, right? And in that, I wasn't really taking care of or pursuing the things that I wanted to do, especially for me and for Boss. I don't know your boyfriend, but Russell and Boss have polarizing personalities. They take up a lot of space in a room. So it could be easy to get caught up and swept up into their world or their worlds when you don't set boundaries and when you don't prioritize your happiness and you don't prioritize yourself. Which a lot of people see that as being selfish, a lot of women sometimes.
I was going to ask you about that because you're saying prioritize yourself. Now, it is kind of looked up, and I feel like men kind of get away with it a little easier where they have free time and it's not looked at as being selfish. But the moment I feel like we kind of take that time, it's like, that's selfish. Or you did that and that was selfish. You weren't thinking about nobody else. But in all reality, I feel like it's not, because you need that. You need yourself. You need to figure you out.
Right.
Well, I think it goes back to the breadwinner thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, because one person, or oftentimes in our scenario, the breadwinner happens to be our husbands, it turns into where when they're gone and they're out, well, it's business. Even if I'm out late at night, I'm taking these business meetings. It's a social thing. I have to be there for this, investment, whatever it is. Whereas when I'm taking my time, it's really feeling like leisure. It's not for a bigger picture, right? And I won't say it's an excuse, but I think that is the reasoning, and so I'll speak for myself. I feel like in that moment, it's just kind of like, okay, you kind of just let it go, but you still don't take that time for yourself. And that's where I'm thinking, like, what does your prioritizing yourself look like for Nina? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, that's a good question. I think for everybody, when I say prioritize yourself, if you're tired, you're the only one that knows that you're tired. Nobody else can be like, ooh, you're tired. Go take a nap. Like, you have to be able to recognize your own needs. I have to know when I'm getting burnt out, just as much as it's my responsibility to know if one of my kids, they need additional, like, me time, or my husband needs additional me time, or my businesses, whatever it is, like, the same way I take care of everyone else, and I can be so intuitive and know, like, if a kid is getting sick and, like, try to get ahead of it, or one of my kids is having a difficult time at school, the same way I can be intuitive and to try to get ahead of that and to nurture and to love and to take care of, I have to be able to do that same thing with myself, because if I'm like run down and I'm burnt out, I can't get up and be the person and be the mom or be the wife or be the businesswoman that I need to be, because I'm like walking around like a zombie and my patience is short and I'm snapping at the kids who are just being kids, you know?
Yeah.
Or I'm snapping at my husband because he's existing and breathing. Like I can't rely on anyone else to take care of me in that way. I have to be able to take care of myself. So when I say prioritize yourself, you're prioritizing yourself so that you can be good for everyone else in your life that you're supporting, loving on, and taking care of.
Yeah.
I like that. And I feel like I really like that. And I feel like that should be really like honed in on, because I feel like a lot of women end up feeling guilty when they take their time. Because like how you were saying, you know, if the breadwinner is husband at home and he's out doing meetings and this, that, and the third, and you want to go get your nails done, or you want to go out with the girls, you kind of feel guilty because I'm leaving everything to you. And now I'm leaving, now you're going to be in charge. And so I feel like it's needed to be heard, where we all need our own me time and space, and not to feel guilty in it, and kind of finding that balance.
Right. I mean, we're all human at the end of the day, and I don't know about mom guilt. Mom guilt, for me, mom guilt only happens if I don't have support or people around or with my kids that I know love them wholeheartedly, which I always try to do. If I can't be there for my kids, then fun Uncle Ben is there with the kids, or my mom is there with the kids, or Nana and Pop. Like we try to keep so much love around our kids. They need to have different experiences. So the mom guilt thing is a really big thing, but at the same time, our children need to learn to love the people in our lives, and that they need to learn from the people in our lives. We can teach our kids so much, but having other people in our lives, like grandparents and uncles and aunts, and my best friends I don't have any sisters, so my best friends are like my kids' aunties, you know? They need to learn from them because I can't teach them everything.
Right.
So that's the way I see it. It's like a shift in perspective, and knowing like your kids have to develop these relationships and learn how to love other people and see value in other people and learn from other people, right? The same way they need to get that from you. Like your relationship dynamic is never going to change. I'm still my kid's favorite person. It doesn't matter who they hang out with, even their dad.
Right.
So I know that, but I also know, and I value connection so much, how important it is for the kids to have these different experiences. And that's how I like to look at mom guilt, rather than feeling guilty that they're not having me time.
I definitely have mom guilt. I don't know if it's still because I'm in a young phase, and I feel like I'm the only one that can tend to them properly. And also, you know, we're still, you know, Boss Family is in Houston, and so everything kind of is either my girlfriends that, you know, the nannies, or my parents who are working full time still, so they can't take them all the time. So a lot of that heavy lifting is on me to plan, schedule, try and coordinate. And, you know, it's you love when you have your kids around family, and that's like the ideal situation. So sometimes I have like, you know, mental breakdowns because of that mom guilt. And just asking you, the last time that you felt like, okay, I'm overwhelmed, was it a mental stress, or was it like a physical stressor?
It's always a mental stressor. But I mean, I feel like our physical and our mental is so connected. If I don't get enough sleep, then I'm easily going to get like overwhelmed. You know, I think our physical and our mental go so closely together. And, but if I'm not thinking with my therapist hat on, because I like people to understand how much their body and their physical body impacts their mental health and vice versa. But in this circumstance, I'll say mentally, I think mentally, because I'm wearing so many hats, I tend to get tired, like physically exhausted, where I need to take a really long nap, which I never nap. I don't have time for naps.
What is that?
No, I mean, it's so terrible, but I just don't nap. And like, when I say that in front of Russell too, like, I never get to take a nap. He's like, you nap? Like, you're thinking of me from like 8 years ago when we had no kids. Yeah, I used to nap all the time. I woke up at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Boss used to try and say that I love, like, that I sleep all the time. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you probably think I love to sleep because I sleep the average amount of time that people sleep in a day. When he's sleeping 3 hours, at sometimes on the Whoop thing, it's 2.5 hours of sleep.
Some people just are born with a lot of energy. I think Boss and Russell are definitely those people. That? But I want to ask you a question, or I want to talk. I want to touch on something you said about not being close with your family, and so things kind of being challenging, or your parents not being around. I mean, we've lived since I've had kids in Oklahoma. We lived in Houston, and we lived in DC. This is my first time living at home with family, available and around to help, which has been such a blessing for us. But like, you have to go out and seek a community. There are other moms there are moms across the world who are experiencing the same things as you. There are friends and people, like your community, your village, so to speak. It takes a village to raise a kid. Yeah. You have to create your village. For us, it looks like a lot of different people from all kinds of walks of life. And that's our village. But when we didn't have our village here, we didn't even have our family here, we had to make a village elsewhere. And that's why community is so important. We are communal people, and we are meant to share space with other humans. And when we don't do that, that's when we start to feel sick or tired or burnt out, and we don't really have anything to help us fill our cups up all the time.
I love that. Yeah, I do need to do that.
I need to do that too right now.
So I want you to, before I want to do a speed run with you of your do tell questions.
Goodness. Okay.
But I do want to have you leave us with tips.
Okay.
From your personal experience, and Nina, the therapist, what your tips are to other women on how to prioritize themselves in a marriage or a relationship, and to uphold their identity.
Wow. I mean, that's a really good question. I feel it's not one size fits all for anyone, which I think is so important for people to understand. But what that means is that you are letting go of the guilt of not being able to do everything on your own. Doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you less than or any less great of a mom or sister or caregiver, whatever the case may be. So that you have to let that go. Number 2, you have to be vulnerable, and you have to ask for help when you need it. You have to be able to ask for what you need, because we cannot do it on our own. In order for us to be, able to prioritize ourselves, we have to build that community, and we have to have that support system built in place. It will change over time. What my village looked like then, again, it doesn't look like the same thing right now, but that's okay, because either way it works. Right. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like those are the keys. Like, pursue your happiness. Don't rely on anyone else to make you happy in a relationship, because you'll like, it could lead to resentment.
Yes.
And if you don't take action and prioritize your happiness, like, who else will? It's nobody else's responsibility.
I love that. Thank you. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
These are some that I like. Easy lifting.
So wait a minute. Why am I answering the questions?
Because,
why are you guys not answering?
You're the one on the other side. It's time for you to answer them.
Okay, so
you made them.
First of all, we are going to, I'm changing the rules on your podcast. We can each answer a question.
Okay, good.
How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me pick and choose now.
Give her a
give
good
me
one.
the
Give her a good one.
Nope. Each of us have 2 questions then, because it's 6
This is
cards.
gonna take forever.
Nope, we're doing quick rounds.
I'm telling you,
we
people get
go.
really swept up in this.
Nope, we're gonna do a quick round.
How about you pick a random one?
She's trying.
Oh,
she's,
yes.
Wait, how are you gonna pick your own
Yeah,
cards?
she's like. That's why I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, I'll
Hold
go
on.
first, but you gotta like.
No, but you tap on it and I read it.
Why can't I read
Because
it?
I have to trust.
That's not the rules to the game.
Pick it up.
1. Let's
One.
just start with 1.
Okay, go.
Jeez. Okay. Who are you with when you feel most like yourself? Yes.
Oh, I
that's
like that one.
See?
Russell.
I could cry. That's so sweet.
I mean, it better be Russell at this point. Like, I tell him all the time, he's so lucky that he gets to experience these parts of me all the time. And I'm not talking about the good stuff. Like, whenever he's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, you're lucky you get to see this part of me.
I believe in that. I like
what I
that. I'm gonna
tell
start
him.
using that.
All right, I'll let you
your
know.
heart.
Hopefully,
Warmed your heart,
all right, let's
Nina
give
said.
me like a
Dom
month.
is like a
I'm gonna
hopeless
fetch it.
romantic.
I love it.
I'm gonna fetch it. She's gonna put a list together for me.
Are we trying to hold certain one that you want me to pick? Okay. Where are you when you feel most at peace?
That's
This is an easy one.
That's so easy.
On the island in the Caribbean somewhere on the beach, sun, baking, with some sort of cocktail in hand. Just hearing the waves, easy money.
Wow.
That was an easy one.
We need to do that.
Let's go.
Come on.
I mean, that's when I feel, well, that's not when I feel most at ease, but I'm doing that for my birthday. So you should come with me.
Yes. Send the invitation.
Okay.
Okay. Last questions each.
Are we going
Here we go.
again?
One more time. One more
I hope
round.
I don't get a hard
I
one.
like these questions.
I
do too. I'm about to go and order this right now.
And you can get the couples. The couples
Yes.
edition is out now.
I want to
Did
get that
not?
for us.
I can't believe I didn't bring it.
It's okay. We're going to support you.
Yeah, we sure are.
What would you say? Can I read? What would you say are your top 3 strengths? I hate this question.
Oh, I love it.
I hate it. I don't like talking about myself.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
A lot of us struggle with that. My top 3 strengths. I'm going to do quick strengths.
Yes.
I think I'm very rational and reasonable.
I would agree.
I think I'm like a good listener, and I think I am. I think that I'm fun. I think I'm fun.
I get that
I don't know if
vibe.
it's a strength.
I get that
That is a
vibe.
strength.
That's a strength.
I would agree. That's great.
Okay.
Okay, come on now.
Some people just can't
Which
be
one
fun.
you trying to make me take? You wanted me to take the bottom one. Yes. What is the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? Oh, I'm fucking tired. But once I pass that, I actually, how I've been saying, I really just been trying to be more mindful. So like honestly, when I first wake up, there is that much thought going on. I'm just trying to get out the house. Then once I get in the car and I sit down, it's more like just bringing myself down. Just, I'm here. I'm present. I'm in my body. I'm in my skin. I'm alive. Mm-hmm. I'm just being grateful, taking in the scenery, the dark scenery around me.
The lights.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love that too. It's great.
What is the best movie you've seen in the past 6 months?
She picked a little easy question.
These were all geared towards you. You changed it up. Okay, so the best movie that I've seen in the past 6 months.
Damn.
This is actually more
You have a
challenging.
new baby. Have you watched any
No,
movies?
I did. Actually, I'm going to go with Friends with Benefits. It's not a new movie, but it had me cracking up.
That's one of my faves. I like that movie.
It's cute. Yeah, I just watched it and I loved it. It was cute. It was
Good.
easy, relaxing. Okay, and before we leave, can you tell everyone where they can reach you?
Yes.
All your good stuff, all your new business things that you got going on.
Okay. I can do my best. Nina Westbrook on Instagram at Nina Westbrook, and the relationship cron pod, tongue twister, on Instagram for the Relationship Chronicles podcast, and benebynina.com.
Love it. All right. Thanks for having.
Thank you.
Thanks for
This
having
was
us.
so fun.
Thanks for coming.
Of course, I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
This was very fun.